All right, so let's shift our thinking over to Canada versus Panama. Obviously, this one has the most implications, I think, for where the U.S. stands right now. And I hate going into a game thinking about what everyone else is doing. I don't think the players think about it as much as we do, just because of the way that, the live table and the way that it reads. But Canada playing at home versus Panama. Panama obviously buzzing after a convincing win over the U.S. Obviously, I don't think they played beautiful or pretty, but they made the U.S. suffer for long periods, and they were able to pull out a result. Thomas Christiansen just, outsmarting, I think, this team and really finding a way to get them to dig deep. They now have to travel all the way to Canada. That's not an easy trip. It never is in CONCACAF, but Canada playing at home. Dre, we'll start with you. I mean, what are your thoughts on this Canada versus Panama matchup?
So on the Panama side, fitting that Aníbal Godoy is the captain of that team, because there's a Nashville SC quality to this Panamanian team, right? Like they're not like lighting you up in attack, but they're physical and organized and disciplined, and they're not going to make mistakes that will destroy you. And that was the difference to me between the U.S. and Panama in this game. It was Panama didn't make costly errors. And I think that's something where, Canada have had a lot of sort of moral victories in World Cup qualifying, but not a lot of actual victories in these 5 games, right? Just the one win that came against El Salvador. They get held by Jamaica, which I think we can agree that this Jamaica is probably the worst of the 8 teams in the qualifiers. Granted, it was Jamaica at home, but a 0-0 draw. And so I think this could be another really frustrating outing for Canada, which, there's a good feeling and a good buzz about the Canadians based on what they did in the Gold Cup, based on the sort of level that Herdman is taking them to. But now they're coming up against an experienced Panamanian side that, much like the U.S., can be frustrated by these veterans.
Yeah, I would just jump in and say really quick that Panama's kind of had the opposite run in this window to the U.S. because they played El Salvador on their first match day of this window, match day 4, and didn't get any shots on goal. And I'm sure everybody was like, oh man, maybe this isn't the team that's going to get us to a World Cup. And then they have a great performance against the U.S. and everybody's like, oh my God, Panama's going to do it. They're awesome. So we've kind of flip-flopped the narrative with them in particular, with the contrast. Canada, on the flip side, has done very well. They've got a draw away from home against us, Mexico, and Jamaica. And I think if you would have told them that prior to qualifying started, they're like, yes, we'll definitely take it. I think they're going to kick themselves for not getting a result in Jamaica because of how poor Jamaica is and because they're a little handcuffed because they don't have all their top players and there was no fans in the stands because of COVID. And I'm a little bummed because I love the Reggae Boys and I want to see them qualify for the World Cup. That said, Canada, or let me give you a fun fact. There's been 5 teams since this qualifying phase changed here in CONCACAF in 1998 who were undefeated in their first 5 games, and all 5 of those qualified for the World Cup. Now, so Canada is 1 win and 4 draws in their first. They're undefeated. They're the 6th team to do that. I think they're positioning themselves very well. They have to win this game, though. I think they know they have to win this game. And I'm curious about the fate. I don't know, maybe you two know about Alphonso Davies, because he didn't play that last group stage game because it was too many games, and I don't think Bayern or whatever relationship they had didn't want him to risk it. Maybe he was nursing a bit of an injury. He has to play in this game, whether he's tired or slightly hurt or not, because they need these points. It's a pivotal one, as you mentioned, Heath.
Yeah, I think it's huge, and looking at what Canada wants to do, Jimmy, you had the math there: 1 win, 4 draws. That puts them at 7 points. Obviously, if my math is correct, and we know that it's around 1.5 points will qualify you for a World Cup. Now, knowing that this is 14 games, and I think it was a historic low the last time around where 13 points or 14 points got you into the World Cup on 12 games. There are a lot of points out there. It is a long road, but we're starting to see now we're going to be after 6 games. We're almost halfway there. And Canada have to start converting those into wins. Obviously, as a U.S. fan, I would love to see a draw happen here where it just gets neutralized from a personal standpoint. But for Canada, they certainly need to win these home games. And I think it was the Honduras, I believe, that played Panama or played Canada in their first game away and really made it difficult for them. And for long stretches, looked like they could take all 3 points. And Canada showed that vulnerability. But you still look at the way Canada is, and Canada seems to have this mentality of like, we're not going to let much go. We're not going to give up much. We're going to fight like hell. And I think while you were saying that, Jimmy, it angered me. in just our pressing game of the U.S. And I don't want to go back to the U.S. preview, but just the pressing game triggers me to think about all this young energy that we have and just making the game predictable. If you sit back against these teams, we've seen every CONCACAF team in history, if you allow them to get better, they will get better minute after minute after minute. And then the magic of CONCACAF happens. 50-50 balls don't go your way. You arrive late to a challenge. Now the crowd is into it. Now the Oles happen. Like all those things start to build up because the game's not predictable. We sit back. We respect them almost too much. I know people think that we don't respect our opponents enough. Sometimes I think we respect them too much when we're away from home and allow them to dictate the terms. But anyways, I get off that preacher's corner now. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Jimmy, what's your prediction for this Canada versus Panama game? Not as a fan, but as an analyst. And then give me your fan. And then give me your fan.
I think that Canada understand what's at stake. I think they have a nice team. I think they know exactly who they are and how they're going to have success. I don't think they make 7 changes with the hopes of winning games, right? I think they just go out there and grind it out. And John Herdman to use that one game at a time and saying that every game's a final. It's really important for them, this country in particular, to qualify for this World Cup without getting the handout of hosting a World Cup in 2026 where they don't have to qualify. They want to prove that they've got the goods to do it, and I think we can sit here and say that they do. These are the games, though, they have to prove it. Their other game that was a similar opponent in some capacity against Honduras, they got a fortunate penalty to come back into that one. They were down 1-0 at home, got a penalty to make it 1-1. They seemed a little nervous in that first game. Now that they're 5 games in, I think they're going to be a little bit more relaxed. I think they believe in themselves, and getting a result away from home in Mexico City is ridiculous. And that should give them a ton of confidence. And so I think they're going to go win 2-1. That's a really long answer. I'll say 2-1 Canada.
And that's a great prediction. And by the way, it wasn't even that they seemed nervous in that first game. They seemed similar to what the U.S. is going through, where they realized how much quality that they had. And they thought that much quality would beat teams, right? Oh, we'll just play through teams. We got all these good players. We'll just sort of, the quality will win out. And I think they lost what made them good in the Gold Cup, and that sort of playing like a final type of mentality. But Dre, what are your thoughts on this one? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I've got a 1-1 draw here because I think the Panamanians are not going to give up a ton of goals. Canada, to me, look like a 3-point window right now, right? Like they drew 1-1 in Mexico, drew 1-1 in game 2. Now coming back home for their only home game, I'm a little bit more inclined to just say, yeah, no, they can take the victory here. But I've been impressed with Panama, and I think you look back to that 3-3 draw at the Gold Cup, Panama against Qatar, a team that was proactive, wanted to have the ball, wanted to attack them, and so there are games in which Panama can sort of take a step up in their attack. It's not just the Nashville comparison that I made earlier. So I'm not yet fully convinced. Like I think Panama have made, I think Canada have made strides. I don't know how significant those strides are yet. And so I see this as a difficult game for them, one in which Panama could do what they do best and frustrate them. And probably 1-1 would be a good result for Panama, and one in which Canada continue to march toward qualification without being elated about still sitting on one victory so far, and that one coming against the worst team in the region.